like that idea of stream tariff. I feel like that should be the goal, the 25% goal. Hello. Hi, everybody. Welcome. Welcome. I'm your local friendly Canadian goblin, and I am here to take questions about what's been going on. And yeah, happy Tariff Day, everybody. I know we've all sort of been expecting this. We've all been kind of prepping for this. We've all been getting ready to deal with this. I'm not exactly ready to be back yet, but this is kind of important. I do have a couple of things on the table, so I think I likely will be back eventually to more of a. Do I sound a little quiet? Is that a little better? More? You need more? More? More volume? More? Is this you? Wait, hold on. Wait a minute. Hold up. Hold up. Hold up. I'll turn myself up. I can do that. What? What? But hello. 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 Is that better? Check, check. Is that a little bit better? Ta-da. More. Is that good? I can also just... Audio's fine. Audio's good. Alright, let me just move my microphone a little bit, see if that helps. Hi. Hello. I am your local Canadian. I am here to take questions. Happy Tariff Day, everybody. Welcome to the official beginning of the trade war. I'm here to answer questions. I've done 2 streams at least about this, about boycotting, about who owns what, about how you can do things. I also have a stream coming up over on Debate Hub on Wednesday, tomorrow, with Landon about how to communicate with your local officials in a more productive way, because I think a lot of people want to do that but don't know how. So I'm going to be helping and assisting people with how to do that with good information about how to go about doing that. So if you guys have questions, now is a good time to ask me. The vibe in Canada is interesting, to say the least. Nobody's too impressed. I guess we'll put it that way. But I do have the full, like, announcement, conference, statement, speech that Prime Minister Trudeau did today. We can look at the Ontario PM one if we want, MP one. So that's our provincial. I'm in Ontario for anybody who cares. I'm not too far away from Toronto. So if you want to know for context a little bit of where I'm located, it's southern Ontario specifically. I'm hoping that Wednesday I'll be able to, even I'm going to be learning some stuff on Wednesday, so I'm hoping that tomorrow I'll be able to get some tips on how to bully Doug Ford into doing things that there's a large left-leaning segment of Ontario, but there's a major problem with the way our votes are counted. And because the Conservative Party is a coalition of 2 conservative parties, they ostensibly outnumber the 3 left-leaning parties. If you were to add them up, it'd be really, really close, but because they get to add all theirs together and the left wing doesn't add all theirs together, it means that there's basically not a whole ton that anybody can do. But just because he is a conservative prime minister does not mean that he is, or sorry, not prime minister, PM, MP. It's a day. Just because he is part of the Conservative Party does not mean that you can't, as one of his constituents, tell him what you want and make him do things that you want him to do. So that's a lot of what we're going to be going over on Wednesday. So just because he's a conservative doesn't mean you get to do or have to do or can do nothing. Where will you get our maple syrup if you're engaged in a trade war? You can still buy your maple syrup. It's just gonna get you charged out the ass. As if real maple syrup's already expensive, and so, like, it's gonna get more expensive. So do not be surprised if your upper-end restaurants in America end up not having real maple syrup anymore because it would be very, very expensive. Um, yes, no. Trudeau is not the governor of Canada. He is the Prime Minister of Canada. Whop. Even Trump bootlicker Ford is made at Trump. Yeah, it looks like the Starlink deal is off. Good is all I can say. Good. Get the fuck out. I think Twitter in Canada needs to be banned. If anybody wants my opinion. Twitter needs to be banned. I think Elon Musk should have his citizenship revoked. And specifically that he is trying to interfere with our elections, specifically through the use of Twitter, as he did with America. Yeah. Coffee is gonna get expensive. Coffee's gonna get crazy. America's gonna end up not having a lot of stuff. Yep. Yep. I mean, yeah. Yeah. Good luck with Colombia. I mean, it's. Am I gonna delete my Twitter account? No. I don't think I'll ever delete the account. I've almost stopped using it, but I have been using it to take tweets from Trudeau and post them over on Blue Sky because he doesn't have a Blue Sky account yet. So I've been taking this and putting it over there. I'm also going to I've also been keeping it to keep an eye on things. But you should all delete your Twitter accounts. Americans are freaking over coffee, yeah. Ford applying export tax on electricity. Yep, there's now going to be an export tax on electricity. It's possible that that could escalate into refusing to sell. There is also a I don't think Ford is the one doing that. Electricity is also part of the 25% tariff that is going out federally. So I don't know if he's adding more or making a minor change to that or making some adjustment, which he can do. That's within his powers to do so. All of the American alcohol has been removed from the shelves of the LCBO, which is our main liquor store because we only have one main liquor store that goes through the federal government. So that's dealt with. That was already happening, but I guess Ford is going to mandate it in Ontario. So if that wasn't already happening in Ontario, it will be now. The Starlink deal is canceled. Good. Fuck off. Like, we're not interested. We don't want you here. A lot of Elon Musk does not have the power nor the appeal in Canada that he seems to enjoy in America. Delete Meta and X. Yeah, I don't have a Facebook account. 25 export tax plus a 10% tariff, so a 35% more for some people in Michigan, Wisconsin, and New York. Yeah, New York is going to get hit very, very hard with the electricity, which is very unfortunate. But sorry? How have I been doing? Doing better, not enough alcohol for you. Yes, and... Happy Tariff Day! Happy Tariff Day, everybody. Woo! So yes, yeah, I'm here as a Canadian to answer questions, but let's take a look, I think, at what Trudeau, Prime Minister Trudeau is saying. So for anybody who is confused, Trudeau is announced he's resigning. He doesn't just stop being the Prime Minister. So he's still the Prime Minister up until they set a new party leader, which will likely and hopefully be Mark Carney, and then he takes over the Prime Minister position because we don't vote for a person. We vote for a party, right? We don't vote for Doug Ford. We vote for the Conservative Party. You don't vote for Justin Trudeau. You vote for the Liberal Party. So no, for any Americans freaking out, we're not having our election stolen. We're not having the position of prime minister taken over by an unelected official because we don't elect the prime minister. The parties elect their leaders, and then the people vote for the party that they want, and then the party that they want has their leader take the position of PM or the position of the opposition. So right now, Polyev is the opposition. He is the leader of the Conservative Party / coalition. And so because he is the leader of that group, he is therefore in line to be the prime minister if the Conservative Party gets the vote. God forbid. So no, our elections, there's nothing sketchy going on with Carney, there's nothing sketchy going on with the Liberals. One of the reasons why is because the Conservative Party demanded that Trudeau step down, and they ran a smear campaign against him, which was relatively successful enough that he was like, all right, I'll resign. And then when he said he was going to resign, all the Conservatives went, oh, now what do we do? Alas. Chesh and Canadians, we support you and apologize for the current regime. Yeah, it's a rough time. I have been seeing a lot of Americans apologizing, and all I can say is stop apologizing and do something about it. And if you don't know what to do, and I don't mean you specifically, KCG, I just mean in general, Americans, if you're upset about this and you want to do something about it, and you don't know what to do, go to Debate Hub on Wednesday. We're going to be taking questions, we're going to be going through processes and what you can do and how to word things in a way that your constituents, that your elected officials who are supposed to work for you will understand. So please, 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 don't apologize, do something about it. US is trying really hard to make Canada liberal again. Yeah, I mean, I hope so. I hope that's what ends up happening. Fucking Ford is a goddamn embarrassment. Have you felt this on a personal yet, like going weekly shopping and can't find a product? No, I haven't found any lacking of products yet. We'll see how that goes because everything was delayed. So there's been a little bit of price fluctuation, which it comes when the market is unstable, which Trump and Elon have definitively made the market unstable. But I haven't seen any like products not being available. Resistance. #resistance. I'm here for that. Good luck. Parties deciding who the leader is sounds pretty American, not gonna lie. Kind of. So the way it works is you register for a party, and when you register for a party, you get to vote for who the leader of the party is. Right? So, because you're part of the party. Right? So it's not like a bunch of, like, upper echelon people that are deciding who the leader of the Liberal Party is. It is people, like your average Canadian, who has decided to be a member of the Liberal Party gets to vote to choose who is the leader of their party. So it's the people, it's your average Canadian who's still making that vote, but like the conservative stuff, like if you're a registered conservative, you don't get to pick who the conservative leader is. Or sorry, you don't get to pick who the liberal leader is, and vice versa, because that wouldn't make any sense. It's certainly not perfect. It's certainly not perfect, but it is what it is for the time being. One of the things that was disappointing about Trudeau is that he did run on election reform and never got it through. And I don't know the details on what ended up happening with it. From what I've heard, there was a like a board, like a team, like a whatever, like a group formed to make that happen, and they did not succeed. And I don't know if they just never tried again or what happened with it, but election reform is hard to do. Hello, welcome, hi. So, you guys want to see what Trudeau is saying? Let me turn on the closed captions for you. Yay, Tariff Day, let's melt down the global economy. Kinda, yeah.
So today, the United States launched a trade war against Canada, their closest partner and ally, the closest friend. At the same time, they're talking about working positively with Russia, appeasing Vladimir Putin, a lying, murderous dictator. Make that make sense. Canadians are reasonable, and we are polite, but we will not back down from a fight. Not when our country and the well-being of everyone in it is at stake. At the moment, the U.S. tariffs came into effect in the early hours of this morning, and so did the Canadian response. Canada will be implementing...
So I'm actually really happy about that. I was concerned that there would be a delay between when the tariffs from America dropped and when Canada implemented theirs, but knowing that one happened and there, so if this then that, so this happens, so this happens. So I'm happy that there was no delay. One of the things that I think people forget is this is the second time Trump has tried and has done a trade war with Canada, and thrown tariffs at us. And for those of you who don't know, Trudeau was the PM that was the prime minister then too, and he dealt with it in 2016. This time what's happening is the Canadian response is far more aggressive than it was the first time. The first time I saw like Canadian correspondents, like Canadian media and news personalities going on to American news, and the American news was like, what's going on with you guys? And they're just like, what are you doing? We're just confused and kind of hurt. Like, you're kind of hurting our feelings. Like, what is going on? What is the reason for this? Like, we don't understand why this is going on. And so I think part of the problem that maybe Americans should understand is that this is not the first time you've done this to us. So we're not going to be responding as, like, simply as last time. Like, last time we were like, all right, you one off, this was stupid, moving on, we don't need to deal with this again. And yet here we are, dealing with it again, and the Canadians are not fucking happy about it. Like, we already did this song and dance. Like, why? What are you doing? We even had, like, a group of Canadians that are called Maple MAGA, affectionately, that are like our Conservative Party leader, Pierre Poilievre, which was backed by Russia, by the way, for anybody who doesn't know, and India, to try to fuck with us. We had people here that were sympathetic and in agreement with MAGA America. Like, an allowed number. They occupied Ottawa. There was a whole fucking thing about it. Some of them got arrested. Good. There was, like, they were shooting off fireworks and doing arson and shit. Pierre Poilievre was bringing them fucking donuts. Like America had a group in America or in Canada that agreed with them. And that group has almost no footing now, if any. They're like, just heel turning because you're fucking them over too, which is like, yeah, of course they are. It makes complete sense. Canadians have decided to take off the hockey gloves this time around. Yeah, the saying that's going around is elbows up. Which is a very, like, it's an old Canadian slang saying. Like, what's the word I'm looking for? Not euphemism. Whatever. It's about, like, protecting yourself, and, like, when you're fighting, you keep your elbows out. Like, right? Like, defensive and aggressive posture.
25% tariffs against $155 billion worth of the Canadian response. Canada will be implementing 25% tariffs against $155 billion worth of American goods.
Yeah, $155 billion worth of goods passing through. So one of the things that I think also needs to be clear is that the Canadian tariffs are targeted. Right? Canada isn't tariffing everything, as opposed to Trump, who is tariffing everything with, like, a little bit less on oil, because of course there's a little bit less on oil. As far as I know, Danielle Smith, who is the MP, the representative of Alberta, is still in America right now. Last she was seen, she was schmoozing in Mar-a-Lago, embarrassing herself. So there's a the Canadian. I went over the lists, and the lists are available on the Canadian government's website. So if you do want to see what things are specifically being targeted by these tariffs, you can go and look. I'll put a link in the description down below later. I did go over them in the Discord, but I'm not going to go over them here right now for obvious reasons. But there's a lot, and it's a lot of like cloth, steel, specific types of goods, alcohol. So there's and there's room to grow is sort of like it's a rollout, right? And even and he's gonna get into it, so I'm not gonna do that here. But just so people are aware, the Canadian tariffs are specifically targeted. And the way that the methodology, from my understanding, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the methodology of the way how they chose what's being targeted is they've targeted like major corporations. They're targeting billionaires. Now this is going to hit like the average American, because there's no way to do this without doing that, but it is very much going to harm the million and billionaires and the billion-dollar companies and investment firms in America. And that's the same thing, that it's the same methodology that it was in 2016. It's just more aggressive. Can we cancel water deal with Nestle now, please? Yes, please. Yes. Kick Nestle out of the country. Yes, please, and thank you.
Starting with tariffs on $30 billion worth of goods immediately, and tariffs on the remaining $125 billion of American products in 21 days' time. Encore aujourd'hui, on se voit forcé d'imposer des droits de douane de 25% sur 155 milliards de dollars américains de marchandises.
So he does repeat in French. There's like some slight tweaks to what he says, so I will play it. So if you want to go find a translation later, you can feel free to do so. He does talk about how he's already been in talks with Mexico, and basically just circumventing whatever tariffs are in that America are doing. Is just Mexico and Canada are going to continue trading with each other and even potentially have more and potentially better deals.
30 milliards de marchandises américaines, excusez-moi. 30 milliards de dollars de façon immédiate et dans 21 jours, 125 milliards de dollars de marchandises de plus. Today, we will also be challenging these illegal actions by filing dispute resolution claims at the World Trade Organization and through the USMCA. But in the meantime, our tariffs will remain in place until the U.S. tariffs are withdrawn, and not a moment sooner.
So I really like that also. There is no negotiation here. It is you stop or not. It's not unsimilar to saying like this war doesn't end until the aggressor fucking stops. So there's not going to be any deals being made where Trump is going to take off some tariffs, and so we're going to take off some tariffs. No, it's all or nothing. You stop, or these will fucking stay here, no matter how fucking long it takes. And I don't know, how do you guys feel? Do you think that some of these things might be permanent? Like, do you think that perhaps that some of these things just won't go away, that some of these tariffs will just remain forever? It's possible. I earnestly don't know. Charging America up the ass for our hydro is kind of hilarious. Ontario electricity is called hydro because most of it comes from water. So, hey, Yankees take off, eh? A little bit. I did set the goal. I do have the spices up. So if we want to have some unleashing of the spice, the super chat goal is there. So I like that. I like that this is like a non-negotiable.
And should these tariffs not cease, we are in active and ongoing discussions with provinces and territories to pursue several non-tariff measures which will demonstrate that there are no winners in a trade war.
So I don't specifically know what that means, but if I had to wager a guess, I would suspect that that means something like what Doug Ford was saying, where they charge additional or they don't allow American companies to participate in energy or in oil or in, like, depending on whichever province you're looking at. So if American companies want to buy things, they're just not going to be, or they want to help build things. So one place that could be hit major by this that I think a lot of Americans might not realize is Starlink and brain SpaceX. So Ontario specifically, and Canada in general, does a lot of aerospace, like a lot of aerospace manufacturing. So both the engineering as well as the processing, building, and shipping. If you want an example, the arm on the space station, stuff that gets built for rockets, things that get built that go into space, a lot of it, there's a lot of aerospace in Canada. So do not be surprised if Canada just cuts off SpaceX and cuts off Starlink in totality and cuts off any other American-based space group. So that would include, like, Blue Origin, that would include NASA. Canada, like, we can just stop doing that. So if that happens, Canada will just find another play. There are other countries that are doing space exploration, so they'll likely just make deals with those other countries and say, hey, listen, we've already got the facilities, we've already got the training, we've already got the know-how, we can actually help you advance your space program faster. Do you want to work with us? Right? I also would not be surprised, and, like, I really do hope that if this continues for any serious length of time, that the professionals that are working for the government, or professionals that are, like, your early science professionals, people that are coming into working these jobs in science, I hope that Canada takes that as an opportunity to just yoink those people and say, hey, listen, we've got these programs. You want to do this science? These programs exist here. You've got a degree? Come work with us. Would not hate that. Kinder makes a good point. Murica is no longer a friend and cannot be trusted, and I think that tends to be, like, the vibe of most of Canada. Because, again, this is the second time, and, like, the first time Canada was like, giving the side eye, but we're willing to, like, let that go under, like, water under the bridge of being like, all right, you get a freebie. This time it's happening again, and it's worse, and it's more aggressive, and some of your politics have been annoyingly leaking into our country. Yeah, the Canadians are not fucking impressed. I've even seen, like, Canadians who are, like, staunch conservatives being like, holy shit. Like, people who would agree with, like, some of the Trump rhetoric that are seeing what's happening, who are just like, fuck no. So, you know. Canada, Mexico, China, and Colombia, because Colombia is already in that boat.
Now, just like I did a month ago, I want to speak first directly to the American people. We don't want this. We want to work with you as a friend and ally. And we don't want to see you hurt either. But your government has chosen to do this to you. As of this morning, markets are down, and inflation is set to rise dramatically all across your country. Your government has chosen to put American jobs at risk, at the thousands of workplaces that succeed because of materials from Canada or because of consumers in Canada, or both.
Kraft comes to mind. Kraft mac and cheese. The amount of Kraft mac and cheese that is sold in Canada is an insane number. Without Canadians buying Kraft mac and cheese, the company Kraft will probably go bankrupt. And that's only the mac and cheese. That doesn't even include like the peanut butter and whatever fucking else product they're making. If Canadians stop eating mac and cheese, it's gonna be fucking insane. Also, I have a really good mac and cheese recipe, so if you want that, like, hit me up. I'll just give you a good mac and cheese recipe and you can just make it yourself and it'll be better. Also use Black Diamond cheese because Black Diamond cheese and Cracker Barrel cheese, both Canadian. Jackson Analysis for 5 says, if America raises tariffs against China and it raises tariffs, raises traffic to retaliate, I'm assuming you mean raises tariffs to retaliate back, that's going to stifle America's technical talent industry. Yes, that's already happening. That's already a thing that's going on. And Pipple Monk for 5 said, as an American citizen, America is no longer my friend and cannot be trusted. Yeah, no, you know what? My heart goes out to you. God damn, dude. God damn. Pain. I do feel bad for a lot of the American citizens because I do think I think that the majority of Americans were not and are not happy with the policies if you talk to them about the policies. The only time that Americans would agree with Trump is if you told them it was Trump. There were a lot of Republicans that were begrudgingly voting for Trump because they just really didn't want to vote Democrat for some reason. And you got scammed. You got scammed. You got fucking scammed. And I do wish that the American government did more about this, like realistically. But I don't know. Tom says, "Hey, American living in Toronto here, yippee." How do you feel about that? Are you happier? Would you rather be in America right now, or are you more content being in Toronto? I'd be curious to know. The stronger the cheddar cheese, the better the mac and cheese. White mac and cheese, also very good. You mean Kraft Dinner? Yeah, in Canada it's Kraft Dinner because we don't mess with the other flavors. Canadians better not be saying what happened to the mac and cheese after this. I hope not. A lot of Canadians might not realize that Kraft mac and cheese is American, but been absolutely going anti-Trump and Elon and your on your Twitter. Fuck Trump and Elon. Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Good morning. Hello. There's no excuse for getting scammed by Trump after he had 4 years of Trump. It's hard to feel sympathy, I'll put it that way.
They've chosen to raise costs for American consumers on everyday essential items like groceries and gas, on major purchases like cars and homes, and everything in between. They've chosen to harm American national security.
Yeah, there's a really good chance that the automotive industry in Canada is going to be dead. Last time, there was a big hullabaloo about the American automotive industry. The government bailed them out. I kind of hope that doesn't happen this time. And I kind of hope that we, again, use this as an opportunity to enable and improve public transit, things like trains, things like trolleys. There's still trolley cart spots in Toronto. We should just have that and more of that. That'd be great. So taking this opportunity to use, to take this and use it as a way to create jobs, as a way to create work, as a way to, maybe we can take some of those automotive industries and shift them into, so like they don't get cut off completely and the people who work for the automotive industry don't get totally screwed, have those jobs shifted into other areas and other professions. Maple Leaf Foods reports $53.5 million quarterly profit compared to $9.3 million loss last year, loss a year earlier. Hopefully with our continued Canadian first buying, we can make that even higher. Yeah, I remember Maple Leaf Foods also had like a couple of controversies about like, I want to say it was the cows were getting sick, mad cow disease stuff, and the bird flu. So seeing it bounce back might be for the best. Tom said that it's better in Canada. It's all of the stuff that you don't see, like bulletproof backpacks. The amount I can't believe that like nobody I've been watching the news a lot recently and I haven't seen nearly as much coverage as you think there would be about all the school shootings that happen in America. It's crazy. Any company that moves its operations from Canada to the United States should have 100% tariff applied to it instantly during these times of conflict and have an ongoing tariff applied to it after these times. I don't disagree with that. I don't know about the ongoing tariff afterward. I don't know if you would want to call it a tariff. It might be something else, like they'd be additionally taxed, but it might be called something else. But no, I agree. I think I agree with the sentiment at least. You don't think the trade war will last long because Americans are very vocal when things are going well? Yeah, but I don't think your administration cares. Like I don't think the American administration gives a shit. Like one of the things, so while I was reading Project 2025, one of the things that I noticed was in it, there was a lot of how do we circumvent the Constitution? How do we circumvent the checks and balances? And one of the things you're seeing Doge doing is destabilizing those institutions that would be doing the check and balances institutions, right? And a lot of it is retaliatory. So that's kind of the sentiment that I'm understanding here. That's kind of what I'm seeing. So I don't know if the American government is going to care about how loud the people are and how unhappy they are.
Impeding access to the abundant critical minerals, energy, building materials, and fertilizers that we have and that the United States needs to grow and prosper. They've chosen to launch a trade war that will, first and foremost, harm American families. They've chosen to sabotage their own agenda that was supposed to usher in a new golden age for the United States.
I do like that he is like sassing Trump by throwing his own words back at him. And again, I would like to point out that Trudeau has been, throughout his tenure, has been very leveled in the way that he speaks. For him, this is very aggressive. It could be more aggressive.
And they've chosen to undermine the incredible work we've done together to tackle the scourge that is fentanyl, a drug that must be wiped from the face of the earth. So on that point, let me be crystal clear. There is absolutely no justification or need whatsoever for these tariffs today.
And I think that's a good point, and I think that's a good thing for him to stick on, that there's no reason for these tariffs at all. They do nothing. They don't get anything from Canada. Trump doesn't get anything from Canada. The American people are suffering for no reason. Zero reason. And he's about to explain what one of the reasons he thinks is why, but I'm pretty sure he doesn't get to that into the Q&A. So put a little pin in that. Put a little pin in why these tariffs are a thing that's happening. Saru's been a member for 12 months. It's been a year. Thank you very much. I greatly appreciate that. It'll end when it affects Trump and friends badly. And that's the point of Canada's tariffs being targeted. So, you know.
Now, the legal pretext your government is using to bring in these tariffs is that Canada is apparently unwilling to help in the fight against illegal fentanyl. Well, that is totally false. Let's look at the facts. Our border is already safe and secure. Far less than 1% of fentanyl flows and less than 1% of illegal crossings into the United States comes from Canada. But we acted because we know we can always do better. We responded to concerns, including from the President, by implementing an ambitious $1.3 billion border plan.
I love this part of this speech. I absolutely adore that he lays out not only facts, but just states this is a lie, this is bullshit, here's the actual numbers, our border has already been secure, and you know what? We were like, we could probably do better anyway, so we're gonna be ambitious and we're gonna listen, we're gonna hear you out, and we're going to put our best foot forward for you, America. We're going to go out of our way for you and your sentiments, even though we know we're fine. Oh, we could, everybody could always do a little bit better. So here's what we're gonna do. This is how we're gonna do this. We're gonna help you out. We're gonna do exactly what you ask for, even though we know it's not necessary, but even though we're like, whatever. And we did that. And now what? And fucking now what? The fact that he just straight up says that we were like, yeah, sure, fine, whatever. Our borders are great. What are you talking about?
A border plan that includes generational investments in new AI and imaging tools to stop the flow of fentanyl in its tracks, stronger coordination and information sharing with American agencies, along with the deployment of drones, helicopters, and additional personnel to keep our border secure. Now, a month ago, as part of an agreement with the United States that paused the tariffs, we made further commitments. We appointed Kevin Brasseau as our fentanyl czar, a man who dedicated his multi-decade career in law enforcement to combating organized crime networks and drug trafficking. We designated 7 drug cartels, sick, evil groups who cynically profit off the pain and suffering of people on both sides of the border, as the terrorist organizations that they are.
So I don't hate that. I don't hate the, putting forward and acknowledging a drug cartel as a terrorist organization. I don't have a problem with that. I also don't hate doing more, because the fentanyl crisis in Canada is not the same as it is in America, but it does it has a lot more of a foot and holding in British Columbia. And so I do not hate the federal government going out of its way to help the people in British Columbia more. I'm okay with that. But don't get too excited. The $1.3 billion was a commitment, not money that's already been spent. So I think that at the end of the day, ultimately, I think it's a good idea to strengthen our borders anyway with the way Trump has been talking. So I think using this as an excuse to kind of be able to get a little bit more force there in the first place is not a terrible idea.
And just yesterday, we launched a new joint operations partnership supported by a $200 million investment between Canada's security and law enforcement agencies, a partnership that will enhance the coordination of information and intelligence in order to thwart criminal gangs involved in the illegal fentanyl trade. And critically, our actions are working. As the U.S. Customs and Border Protection just acknowledged, there was a 97% drop in fentanyl seizures from January compared to December, to a near zero low of less than half an ounce seized in January.
And see, this is what I mean, right? When I say that securing or putting more effort into the Canadian part of defending the border is the fentanyl is coming into Canada, not from America, not from Canada going into America. So when we're spending money to deal with fentanyl and drug trafficking across the border, America is our Mexico. That's how it works. So we're stopping fentanyl from coming into Canada from from America to protect our citizens, where fentanyl is an issue. Although, again, it's different here than it is in America, because guess what? We're not the same fucking place. So, surprise! It's working, and we're getting less fentanyl coming into our country from the drug den filled with gangs and guns, which is America. I don't get it. But you'll notice, like, look at the difference in the way Canada deals with their downstairs neighbor, their neighbor at their southern border neighbor, who has school shootings on the daily, who has drug cartels, who has gang violence, who has a rapist in office, who just brought in Andrew and Tristan Tate, sex traffickers, people who have allowed and enabled murderers and insurrectionists to roam free at large in their country. Like, if you want to describe America in the most negative way possible, they are worse than Mexico. And Canada does not treat America as bad as Americans treat Mexicans, and the way they treat the Mexico-America border. What the fuck is wrong with you? Stop it! You have no need to do what to the Mexican border and to Mexican people and immigrants that you do. You want to know who fucking immigrates to Canada? Americans! Do we run around and call you guys fucking rapists and murderers and gun-toting psycho drug addicts? No, we don't fucking do that. What the fuck? If you wanted to describe America in the worst possible way, to create, like, some kind of, like, movement and push in the government, it would not be hard to statistically make America look like a complete fucking shithole. So, like, there is no need for America to do it to Mexico either.
Even with all the further enforcements and actions we've taken at the borders. In some, we stepped up. We engaged closely and constructively with the President and his administration. We did everything we promised. We stuck to our word. And we did it because we believe in working together to protect our citizens. Now I want to speak directly to one specific American.
So if you didn't catch that, that is Justin Trudeau calling Trump out for not holding to his word, which matters when you're a president. So if you didn't catch that, Justin Trudeau just really hardly called Trump out. I don't know if Trump's here enough to catch it, but definitely did.
Donald, in the over 8 years you and I have worked together, we've done big things. We signed a historic deal that has created record jobs and growth in both of our countries.
That would be the NATO deal that Trump just complained about the other day, when Trump was like, "Well, this is the worst deal ever. Who signed this? It's the most ridiculous deal I've ever seen." He's the one who signed it. That was him. He signed that deal. That was Trump. Trump is complaining about Trump. Yeah, go figure. If Trudeau said Americans were taking Canada's drugs, they're bringing crime, they assault people, but some might be good people, imagine the false outrage. Yeah.
We've done big things together on the world stage, as Canada and the US have done together for decades, for generations. And now we should be working together to ensure even greater prosperity for North Americans in a very uncertain and challenging world.
And the problem is, part of what's making the world uncertain and more challenging is America right now, right? Like, nobody knows what's fucking gonna happen tomorrow. Trump just day to day arbitrarily changes and brings in new shit, different shit. Elon doing the same thing. Oh, we're gonna cut this. Oh, wait, no, put it back. Oh, wait, cut this. Oh, wait, put it back. Oh, cut some of it. Like, it's all over the place.
Now, it's not in my habit to agree with the Wall Street Journal, but Donald...
I actually really like that. I like that Trudeau points out... He points out that he doesn't usually agree with the Wall Street Journal, and that he's not even necessarily agreeing with what he's about to say. And my favorite thing about that is that with what he follows up with is that I think, the way I interpret this, is that Trudeau is saying that he actually doesn't think Donald Trump is very smart. But...
Now, it's not in my habit to agree with the Wall Street Journal. But Donald, they point out that even though you're a very smart guy, this is a very dumb thing to do.
That is literally, you see him kind of smirking almost, like, throughout this... I don't know how to read his facial expressions because he's got his lips pursed, and I don't know if it's because he's trying not to be cocky. Like, if he's trying not to be like, bitch, come at me, bro. Like, I'm not 100% sure. Sar45 says, they always say Canada is the younger brother pulling America out of bullshit. Well, this is what a younger brother does when the elder brother turns on them. I guess. I don't know. I don't really buy into the older, younger thing because, like, the way and timing that they were formed in is, like, yeah, whatever. But, yeah, Canada is regularly making up for and fixing and undoing and dealing with America's bullshit. Like, all the fucking time. Like, the amount of money Canada has wasted on wars that we're not even really a part of have been fucking stupid and insane. And you realize, like, the next time America decides to start a dumb fucking war over fucking nothing, like, we're not gonna participate. Like, we're not gonna help. Like, why would we? Fucking stop. Like, good God. I also do like that he's just calling him Donald. Especially because, like, recently and for the last little while, Trump has been calling him Governor Trudeau. So, like, he's still calling him by his last name. Whereas Trudeau here is like, Donald. Stop it. It's like the extra bit of petty that's like just, there's just the right amount of it in this speech that I'm just like, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Canada Trump be like, we're getting rid of all the maple syrup inspectors and regulations. We don't need anyone to maintain quality. We have the best syrup, everyone knows. Jack45 says, now that was interesting along with the other cues. The pursed lips equals holding back something he'd rather say. I honestly think he's pursing his lips because he's trying to, like, not be like, at me, bro, you bitch. Like, this. That's how it comes. The side smirk of contempt. Yeah, there's, like, a degree. He's calling Trump stupid. He's calling Donald stupid. He is being disrespectful to him in the most polite way possible, and it's very funny. Pibble Monk for 5 says, I want to see who the first international leader is who stands up and tells Trump to his face that he's an idiot. Scotland, I think, already did that. I think Scotland might have already done that. I don't know if they would count as an international leader in the way you mean, though, but I'm pretty sure Scotland, like, on, like, day one. Got here a little late for not sure if this is touched on, but rip Pierre's chances. Yeah, Pierre Poilievre is not in a good position. The Conservative Party in Canada is really not in a good position, and they were following Kowtow and Trump has so badly thrown them under the bus that I like to think, and maybe it's cope on my part, but I hope and I like to think that it is very likely that we are going to see a liberal government again, and it will be Mark Carney. That's what I hope. That's what I would like to see, and that is the projection that I'm seeing, I think, across the board. The chart looks like this. Like, so like the conservatives were way up here and the liberals were down here, and they've just in the last couple of months done this. And like it's crazy. It's crazy. So I don't know, we'll see. Insulting people ever so politely. It is very Canadian, yeah. A no rules cage match between leaders? Like you mean between Polyev and Trudeau, or do you mean between Trudeau and Trump? Because I'm not gonna lie, Mark Carney, just for the meme alone, will be so amazing to watch him deal with Donald. And I'm with the Prime Minister here. You know what? I'm gonna be in solidarity with the Prime Minister and start calling Trump Donald. Fucking McDonald over here, alright? Yeah, by the way, don't buy McDonald's.
We two friends fighting is exactly what our opponents around the world want to see. And now, to my fellow Canadians.
No, yeah, and he's right. That is exactly, but that was the intention, and that's what Donald wants to do. He does not view Russia as an opponent. He sees Russia as an aspiration. That's what he wants. So he wants to appease Russia and fight with Canada because Russia doesn't like Canada. Putin fucking hates Canada and has for a very long time because we keep fucking him over. Canada has been fucking Russia and Putin over the whole time, and we're not gonna stop. But attempting to destabilize us is their best move, which is why fucking Donald is trying to destabilize Canada. Because Donald views Russia as an ally, even though Russia has done nothing for America. Nothing. Nothing for the American people, nothing for America in general, has done everything to go out of its way to harm America and its people.
I won't sugarcoat it. This is going to be tough, even though we're all going to pull together, because that's what we do. We will use every tool at our disposal so Canadian workers and businesses can weather this storm. From expanding...
Please, 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 please use this opportunity to move our automotive industry into public transit industry. Please just make that shift. Just slightly to the left. Just, come on. Get us another rail line. Get us that way, please. That way.
Canadian workers and businesses can weather this storm. From expanding EI benefits and making them more flexible to providing direct supports to businesses, we will be there as needed to help. But Canada, make no mistake, no matter how long this lasts, no matter what the cost, the federal government and other orders of government will be there for you. We will defend Canadian jobs. We will take measures to prevent predatory behavior that threatens Canadian companies because of the impacts of this trade war, leaving them open to takeovers.
That's a really good point. So Canadian businesses are going to be harmed through this. Everybody loses, right? So one of the things that he's talking about here, and I think it's a really good point that he put that out, is that China, India, Russia, any any group that is dissatisfied or thinks they could take advantage of the situation could try to buy up America or Canadian businesses and Canadian jobs and try to threaten our sovereignty that way or threaten us in that regard. And I like that he's pointing that out.
We'll relentlessly fight to protect our economy. We will stand up for Canadians every single second of every single day, because this country is worth fighting for.
If we get a fucking high-speed rail, Jason, I am going to fucking lose my mind. You have any idea how amazing it would be to have a high-speed rail? They've actually added rail. So, like, there's a big university town called Guelph that I used to live in, and Guelph got a train between Guelph and Toronto. And if Toronto gets a high-speed rail to Montreal, fuck, dude. Yes, please.
Les derniers mois ont été stressants et honnêtement épuisants pour nous tous. Mais je crois qu'on peut être rassuré par l'incroyable solidarité dont on a tous été témoins entre nous. Solidarité entre nous.
Listen, don't shit on my dreams, April. I think under normal circumstances, I would think that it was bullshit too. But if Canada has a surplus of steel because they can't sell it to America and they want to fucking invest in the country while we're on fucking in a trade war, if anything was gonna make that rail happen, the stars are aligning. But I will freak out if we actually get it. Now is not the time for Canadians to be pessimistic. Now is the time to seize opportunity. Opportunity through adversity. I believe in us. We can do it.
Entreprises, nos syndicats, notre société civile, les communautés autochtones et tous les Canadiens. L'ensemble de la société canadienne parle d'une seule voix pour qu'on se fasse entendre de nos partenaires américains, pour illustrer que l'imposition de droits de douane, c'est une très mauvaise idée. En même temps, on travaille à l'interne pour faire tomber les obstacles au commerce entre nos provinces et territoires. On travaille pour rejoindre de nouveaux marchés à travers le monde, pour bâtir une économie toujours plus forte et plus résiliente. Dans les dernières années, j'ai eu plusieurs occasions de discuter avec des leaders du monde entier. Mon message est toujours le même. Le Canada est un partenaire fiable et notre porte est grande ouverte. Dans les dernières semaines, on a aussi redoublé d'efforts pour renforcer nos liens avec le Mexique, qui a lui aussi été frappé par ces tarifs. Ensemble, on va chercher de nouvelles façons de collaborer et de s'appuyer l'un sur l'autre pour faire face à cette menace. Face à l'incertitude, face à l'inquiétude, les Canadiens ont fait preuve de tellement de solidarité. Je vous ai vu partager des listes de produits canadiens pour aider vos proches à appuyer les entreprises d'ici. Je vous ai vu changer vos plans de vacances et opter pour des magnifiques destinations touristiques qu'on a ici chez nous, au Canada. Je vous ai vu redoubler d'efforts pour soutenir nos petites entreprises et nos travailleurs. Je vous ai vu vous porter à la défense de notre culture et la faire rayonner.
He smiles a little bit more when he's speaking French, and I wonder why. But yeah, no, again, on Wednesday we are covering how to communicate with your local, provincial or state officials over on Debate Hub, and Lana's going to help us with that. Let's just use the rail. Let's use the rail system as the example for that. And be like, how do you convince your local and provincial government or state government to invest in this infrastructure? So join us for that. I'll put the link in the put the link in the chat in a second.
Je vous ai vu encourager nos athlètes avec une ferveur sans précédent. Moi qui croyais que je ne pouvais pas être plus fier de notre pays et de mes compatriotes. Mais j'ai encore quelque chose à vous demander. Lâchez pas. C'est le moment de redoubler d'efforts, de se tenir debout pour notre pays, de faire tout ce qu'on peut pour choisir le Canada, pour défendre le Canada. On va passer ensemble à travers des moments difficiles. Mais après vous avoir vu aller dans les dernières semaines, j'ai jamais été aussi optimiste quant au futur de notre beau pays, malgré tous les défis qu'on va être en train de vivre ensemble. Le Canada reste le meilleur pays sur Terre. On a tellement de raisons d'être fiers de notre chez-nous, de ces quelques arpents de neige. Mais surtout, je suis fier de notre capacité à nous serrer les coudes quand vient le temps. Les Canadiens ont différentes origines, différentes langues.
For anybody who doesn't understand, he basically repeats what he was saying in English in French. It's a little bit different. The message, sometimes there's a couple of more details in it, but it's basically the same message. Again, if you would like to find a translation of it, there are translations out there.
Différentes croyances. Mais quand vient le temps de défendre notre pays, on le fait d'une seule voix, main dans la main. À travers vents et marées, les Canadiens peuvent toujours compter les uns sur les autres. Now, we've been through tough spots before. But every time we've faced long odds and seemingly insurmountable obstacles, we've not only survived, we've emerged stronger than ever. Because when it comes to defending our great nation, there is no price we all aren't willing to pay. And today is no different. Merci beaucoup, mes amis.
Thank you very much, Mr. Prime Minister. Merci beaucoup. We will now take...
Okay, so they're going to go into questions. I'm going to give us a quick break, and then they're going to go into the Q&A, because I still want to do the... I haven't seen the Q&A yet. I've seen, like, one or two of the questions, but I definitely want to watch that. And it's... I haven't seen anyone complaining about this speech yet, which you might not think is a big deal, but let me assure you that is a very, very big deal. I would like to remind you that the last 2 years or so, the Conservative Party has been doing nothing but finding every excuse and every fucking thing they could possibly find to slander this man to the point of just making shit up. Like, they've legit just made shit up that he hasn't said, or tried to take things out of context, or etc., etc., etc. I saw somebody just the other day bitching and moaning and saying that on Canadian broadcast news, saying that, well, you know, Trudeau this, Trudeau that, and the person responded with, Trudeau gave you your pipeline, though, Randy. And Ray's like, oh yeah, but the pipeline's not good enough. It's like, yeah, of course it's fucking not. Nothing's fucking good enough for these people. Stop negotiating with terrorists! Alright, I'm gonna give us a quick break. And I will be right back in about 2-ish minutes. I'm not putting a timer on. It'll be fine. I'll be back momentarily. I would like to point out that we are, in fact, halfway to our goal. Thank you so much. Again, we shall unleash the spice. We got 5 more super chats to go, but alas, I am still here to answer questions. So if you do have... Stop negotiating with Pierrists. Listen, you're not wrong. We're still just on our little bit of a break point right now. I'm making some tea. I put it right beside me, so if you hear a little bit of that in the background, it's just the kettle boiling. Yeah, I could probably hear that. But yeah, do you guys have any questions? Again, as a Canadian, the booing the states thing, the booing the national anthem. Yeah, that's probably going to keep happening. Canada is going to continue to boo the national anthem. I think that might be one of the questions that Trudeau gets asked, and I think his answer is nicer than mine is, but I think we'll probably talk about that. I've been watching, what's his name, Luke something? I'm just a regular, average American, and I kind of like what he's doing, but I have some notes, and that's kind of one of the things that I've been working on while I'm away, is, because he asked some very good questions, and I think I want to try to answer them. So, as a Canadian, reacting and responding and answering the questions from your typical average American, I think it would be a fun exercise, so I think we'll probably try that out. Do I have any ads I'd like to shill, such as the Lexington? Well, Lexington's over, so we did a Star Trek Let's Play where we played TTRPGs and it was Star Trek, and that's over. So if you wanted to catch the whole thing, you can watch all of it all at once and binge it, which I would recommend. You're making tea too? What kind of tea you're making? I'm making English breakfast. Rez says, question for the chat. What's your favorite spice? Mine is sporty. Like from the Spice Girls? Sporty Spice was pretty great. I'm an American, and even I would boo the anthem. I mean, it will be interesting to see Americans beginning to boo their own anthem, and I do not think that that is something that won't happen. I think that's something that will happen. Luke? No, I don't think it's Luke. Tyler Bucket. I think Tyler Bucket is the channel name. Yeah, I think that's his name. Later, little tater. Yeah, see you later. Have a good day. I'll hear Nero and Chesh and boo the Star Spunked banner. I agree. I agree with that very much. Ketchup spice. Ginger. Tea, Earl Grey, hot. I almost made Earl Grey. Irish breakfast. I'm having English breakfast. You're having Irish breakfast. Very funny. I like that. Wonderful. Wonderful. That tea. The spice. We are 3 super chats away from unleashing that, though. I wouldn't trust anyone named Tyler. Fair. Fair. I've known a couple of Tylers. All of the Tylers that I've met have been pretty, not subdued, like very, very like quiet, like generally like little bits quiet, little bits awkward, kinds of people, at least compared to me. Maybe I'm not a good comparison though, because like I work on the internet and that just seems unfair. So like a lot of the people that I know who also work on the internet are also like, you know, not soft spoken. That's the word I was looking for. All right. Are you guys ready? The tea is flowing. The spice is on its way. Let's get into the Q&A. I will also provide this link, so if anybody wants to watch this later. This is just like the uninterrupted one that's not like, it doesn't have commentary in it. So yeah, let's get going.
20 minutes of questions. Nous prendrons 20 minutes de questions. One question, one follow-up, une question, un suivi. Merci.
Hi, Prime Minister. Tom Parry with CBC. You're reaching out to the president today. You're speaking directly to him. We heard from U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance, who says that Donald Trump will be speaking to Canadians. And he also says that he wants to see more progress on fentanyl. So my question to you is, do you have any conversation scheduled with Donald Trump in the coming days? Is that something maybe your successor should do? And do you really believe that this is about fentanyl, or is there something larger at play here?
Remember when I said stick a pin in that as to when he talks about fentanyl and he's going to bring up what he thinks is actually going on? But I would like to point out, I'm going to say this very clearly, and let me make myself big again, just to speak very clearly. JD Vance, Canadians don't give a flying fuck what your butt bunny, Elon dick sucking Donald has to fucking say to us. We care about the actions that are being taken, not whatever fucking flatulent bullshit is gonna come out of his fucking asshole-looking mouth. Alright? So, take your fucking brown starfish face and go shove it up further Elon's ass and go fuck yourself. We do not care what Donald has to say to us. We know what he is doing despite whatever his attempts to gaslight and misdirect and change the narrative is going to be. We know what is going on. We know what's happening to us, and you can go fuck yourself. I don't know if I can make that any more clear. Don't spunk on a banner. Like, share and like and share the stream. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
I have offered to speak to Donald over the past number of days, and I expect to speak with him in the days to come. I'm always there to talk with him about the importance of working together to take on the world.
Oh no, I think we just found out that Trudeau is Donald's therapist friend. But you'll notice that the answer to the question is that he doesn't have anything scheduled. I wonder why. It sounds like Trump's been ignoring him or avoiding him. Like, you know, a strong and powerful leader and not a coward does.
World at this time. The facts show very clearly that in terms of taking action on fentanyl, we are doing everything that is necessary, and not just for the United States, for ourselves as well, as Canadians are suffering as well from the scourge that is illegal fentanyl. We have laid out extensive plans, actions, cooperations, including as recently as the past days in Washington, and they have always been very well received. And the numbers bear that out. I think in what President Trump said yesterday, that there is nothing Canada or Mexico can do to avoid these tariffs, underlines very clearly what I think a lot of us have suspected for a long time.
See? It was never about the fentanyl. It was never about whatever the fuck JD Vance says. It was never about any of these things. There was nothing Canada could do to quote-unquote avoid this. As if we had any... So, ostensibly, Canada had no control in the first place. And, like, admittedly, yeah, Canada can't control what America decides to do. Right? We can't tell you not to put tariffs up, but what we can do is say, if you do this, then we're gonna do that, and you shouldn't do this. This is a terrible fucking idea.
That these tariffs are not specifically about fentanyl, even though that is the legal justification he must use to actually move forward with these tariffs.
Monsieur Trudeau, en français, à part l'allocution que vous avez eue envers Monsieur Trump, lui avez-vous parlé au cours des derniers jours, des dernières heures?
Non. Je me suis mis à sa disposition pour parler pendant les derniers jours, comme on avait fait il y a 30 jours.
Yeah, so they re-asked the question in French, and now he is repeating, saying, do you have anything scheduled? And he's saying, no, I don't have anything scheduled with Donald.
J'espère lui parler dans les jours à venir. Je suis toujours ouvert pour parler.
And, sir, you mentioned this off the top. You're seeing the United States seemingly moving closer to Moscow. This is the same day that the United States has announced it's suspending aid for Ukraine. The Kremlin just said that U.S. foreign policy now is in alignment with Russia. So how do you successfully, or your successor, successfully negotiate with a president who seems to regard his friends as his enemies and his enemies as his friends?
So, and I think that's a real sentiment of Canada in general. Why is America treating its enemies as friends and its friends as enemies? And it's because Donald Trump doesn't view it that way. America might view it that way. The individuals, like American people, might view it that way, but Donald does not. Donald views Russia as an ally. He views Putin as a thing to aspire to be, not the other way around. And Red Eye, good to see you, says, Dear America, why are you speedrunning the axis of evil membership like a crackhead asking for a friend? Have we gotten the medical checkup? I don't understand how Donald is even allowed to be president right now, especially since doesn't he own Truth Social? Isn't he not allowed to own things when he's a president? Like, it seems like it should legally be very easy to yeet him, but yet here we are. I don't know.
In this regards, Canada and Canadians are very clear. We know who our friends are. We know who our opponents are, and there is no question that Vladimir Putin and his attack not just on Ukraine, but on the rules-based international order, on the founding principles of the United Nations, is an opponent of Canada.
I think we need to be clear, though. The American people chose Donald Trump. That was a decision that they made, and that is a decision that we all have to live with. And Canada is going to feel a very big brunt of that, because Canada has always had to deal with whatever dumb fucking thing America was doing. Right? That's always been the case. So this isn't new to us. It's not even something we didn't suspect was going to happen if Donald was voted in again. So we're going to have to see what the EU decides to do, and I do want to be very clear. Right now, it is no longer, oh, the world is just a crazy place. No, America specifically is doing crazy batshit things that make no sense for the American people at all. America is in a time of regression. Their policies are being, their rights, they're in a position of regression. They are regressing. They are going backwards. It is not unsimilar to if you've ever looked at parts of India in the 60s and 70s. It is not unusual for a dictatorship to utilize theocracy, which is why you're seeing so much of like the Christian nationalists being a part of this movement. Like it's unprecedented in that America hasn't really done it, but it's not unknown to like the history of the world, if that makes sense. We have reached the super chat goal. Thank you so much, Manya, for giving us the last two that we needed. So let's do this. Let's unleash the spice. Let's see, what do we got? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 32, 4, 6, 8. 38. Let's just move this over just a little bit. 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38. Jalapeno. So this one is extreme jalapeno. Jalapeno. The spice must flow. And what did I say? If it broke 50, we'd take a swig, but we didn't break 50, so I don't have to. Or was it 20? Was it if we broke 20? I don't remember. Let me know, chat. You tell me. I think it was if we broke 20. On a stick. Cream cheese? Why does this smell a little bit like cream cheese? It's so green. It was 20? Alright. Shot it is. Ooh. That one's spicy. Oof. So it's getting a crying face. Yeah, this would be like good in a jalapeno popper. I would mix this with cream cheese and use it as like stuffing for chicken. Oh, is my face turning red? It feels like it is. Oh my god. Whoo! You're gonna get hit by a Cat 2 cyclone? Ooh. Good luck, stay safe. Why is it spicy? Ugh. I'm gonna file that one under good for cooking. Don't just eat it. Like, that would be good in, like, chili, too, actually. Burns! Oh, alright. Back to Trudeau.
Based international order on the founding principles of the United Nations is an opponent of Canada. I think the question that we all need to be watching closely is, what do the American people think? How do Americans feel about jettisoning one's friends and allies in favor of a country that has never wished Americans well and continues to act in ways that harm the global economy and specifically the American economy and American values and principles?
Actually, I think that's a really good question, and I think that it's interesting that the person asking this question isn't American. Like, the Canadian Prime Minister is demonstrating not only concern for the American people, but treating the American people's opinions as if they have value, as opposed to just talking down to them and telling them what they want and what they should do and yada 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 yada. He's legitimately asking. So Americans, how are you feeling about this? Like, are you okay? Like, what can we do to help you? And again, I think it's important that Americans understand that this is not something that Canada is doing to them. This is something their government is doing to them. Yeah, I don't like jalapenos very much at all. I mean, maybe with consuming all these spices, I'll actually enjoy. There's some jalapeno poppers in the freezer right now that I haven't touched because they're not my jam, but by the time I'm done with these, they might become my jam. Like, I don't hate it. It's just a little bit much. Not great, Justin, not great. In polls, Americans don't like Musk or anything he's doing and are very much regretting electing Trump. Don't think most of them are thinking about it. We are not okay. American here, please save me from this. Do not want. I mean, I think that's something that is happening a lot too, is that Canada has already put in place a handful of things that is ostensibly trying to help the American people and saving them from themselves at this point. But, like, I don't know, can individual states make deals with countries? So, like, could New York or Minnesota and the state, like, I assume it would be the governor that would have to do this. Could Tim Waltz go to Canada and go to the Canadian government and say, hey, we want to make an individual trade deal with you? I don't know if that's possible. Yeah, I did hear that the Kentucky governor is freaking out. The governor of Kentucky is fucking losing his goddamn mind because, like, the majority of alcohol that is sold in Kentucky goes to Canada, which is kind of funny. So far from okay. I feel like a hostage with a gun being held to my retirement fund. Yeah, okay, fair. Tesla's stock price? Oh, from my understanding, Tesla's stock price has just been dropping like a fucking rock. Kentucky has deals with Canada. Not anymore, though. Yeah, I don't know if if a state is within its rights to operate like that outside of the union. So you tell me. I'd be curious to know. States and provinces can negotiate contracts. Okay. I figured they could negotiate contracts, but I don't know if they could circumvent the tariffs. I'm okay, everything is fine, furiously blinking at the camera. If I'm in the same room as Trump, do you, Chesh, have a recommendation of what I should do? Be confident. Trump kowtows to people that are more confident than he is, and be physically, present. You can very easily physically domineer him, and apparently he's all over you if you have a French accent. Or an Italian accent. So if you can and I don't think he'd be able to tell if you could fake it. If you have an accent and your accent is one of the Romance languages, he's just gets all wet in his drawers. Oh boy. Time to break the union. America has had plans about dealing with the Electoral College for a long time now that have been in the works. Too late, potentially? I don't know. And yeah, good point, the midterms are coming up, so... Yeah. From my understanding, the Americans are not doing so great. And they're not feeling good about this, and they do not like it.
Bonjour, M. Trudeau. Valérie Gavage de Radio-Canada. J'aimerais vous entendre sur les programmes d'aide. Au Québec, on parle de 160 000 emplois qui pourraient être perdus. M. Ford a dit ce matin, dans 8 à 10 jours, il y aura des mises à pied dans les usines d'auto. Est-ce qu'il y a quelque chose sur la table aujourd'hui?
Oh, watch Trump talking to Macron. Paris, the French Prime Minister. He was drooling over the French Prime Minister. It's hilarious.
Oui, qui peut être annoncé pour les Canadiens, ne serait-ce que de limiter le délai pour avoir accès à l'assurance-emploi?
Il y a des choses qu'on va regarder immédiatement sur l'assurance-emploi, mais je veux rappeler aux gens que notre but, c'est pas de trouver des façons pour que les Canadiens puissent passer à travers de ces moments difficiles, c'est d'empêcher ces moments difficiles de durer plus que le temps minimum nécessaire. Si on peut faire enlever ces tarifs demain, c'est ce qu'on va essayer de faire. Notre priorité, c'est de mettre fin à cette guerre économique, et le fait que des Américains, dès aujourd'hui, font faire face à des mises à pied, vont faire face à des problèmes au niveau de leurs produits de consommation, va nous aider à mettre fin à ces défis le plus rapidement possible. Mais effectivement, on est en train de regarder toutes sortes de choses que nous pourrons faire si effectivement ces tarifs durent plus longtemps qu'une journée ou deux, même avec des actions quasiment immédiates sur l'assurance-emploi qu'on va regarder aujourd'hui même.
English, please.
If in the same room as Trump, allowing him to leave is tantamount to a war crime. That's funny. What fake language is this guy speaking? French! Quebec French, I believe, specifically. So if you are France French, this is gonna sound backwater to you. Trump probably thinks that the French accent is for show, not an actual effective language. Yeah, maybe.
I think the thing to remember first and foremost, as we reflect on the impacts on Canadian workers and Canadian jobs and businesses, is that, first of all, there will be similar impacts on Americans losing their jobs, American families paying more for basic goods that they rely on at a time where times are tight everywhere. But our focus has to be on getting these tariffs lifted as quickly as possible. What can we do in the coming days is our focus to make sure that these tariffs don't last a second longer than necessary. So we will be looking at, including looking in the coming day at things we can do around adjusting EI to support people through this difficult time. But our priority has to be not on figuring out how to manage through these tariffs over the coming days and weeks and months, but on doing everything we can to get them lifted and put an end to this unjustified trade war that hurts American families and Canadian families.
Yeah, I agree with that. Again, this is something that like they're committed to ending them as soon as possible, and I think that makes sense. They're a bad idea overall. If Trump was not president, this would not be a thing that is happening at all. No other person would have dreamed of ever doing something like this. So like even most of the Republicans that are actually like Marco Rubio, like most of your career politicians in the Republican Party would have never done this. John McCain would have never done this. So it's not even like a Democrat versus Republican thing. Like there's no Republican would have done this in any other circumstance.
On a l'impression que vous n'avez plus beaucoup de cartes dans votre jeu. Est-ce que de devancer la négociation, la renégociation de la CEUM fait partie des plans actuellement plus que jamais?
Actuellement, dans les conversations avec le président, c'est pas très clair ce qu'il veut exactement. Ou peut-être la seule clarté, c'est ce qu'il a dit à multiples reprises, que son but, c'est de faire écrouler l'économie canadienne pour ensuite pouvoir parler d'annexation. C'est ce qu'il veut. Alors, je ne sais pas quelle négociation on pourrait entamer actuellement pour éviter, pour lui convaincre que ce n'est pas ça son but. Notre réponse aujourd'hui est ancrée dans le fait de démontrer à quel point nos économies sont interreliées. Et si on crée des barrières entre nos économies, les familles des deux côtés de la frontière vont souffrir. Pour démontrer qu'on devrait être en train de faire des choses ensemble. Et pendant qu'il fait le choix de vouloir ruiner l'économie canadienne, je ne sais pas si devancer des négociations dans une situation de si mauvaise foi dans laquelle on se trouve maintenant, où il amène des tarifs sans aucune justification factuelle aujourd'hui, je ne sais pas si d'ouvrir les négociations. On serait toujours ouvert à le faire s'il le voulait, mais ce n'est pas un enjeu dont il a parlé pour le présent.
The problem with stuff like this is that it is a war of attrition, and everyone suffers. Nobody's going to be happy with this. It's pointless and it's useless and it makes no sense. And even Trump's legal reasoning is really, really, really unjustified. So I don't know if there is something that like the American Senate or the American Supreme Court can do to call out the legality of even doing this in the first place. He's more expressive when he's speaking French, yes. I think that might be because French is his first language, but I'm not 100% sure. The other thing about this, too, that I think America needs to understand is that because this is the second time that this has happened, it means that Canada's like Canada not buying American products and not traveling to America stuff is likely going to stay for a lot longer than the tariffs will. So even if the tariffs end tomorrow, because Trump and as far as like Canadians are concerned, America are so volatile and unreliable and cannot be trusted to keep their word as a country, you're going to see a boom in Canadian products, in Canadians buying Canadian products regardless, and putting that extra effort in. And when these Canadians are doing this and putting this extra effort in, then what you're actually going to see is you're going to see marketing teams starting to put more clear and obvious labels on these things. And it's going to encourage companies to do that. And on the other hand, it's not like Americans can do nothing. Hey, Americans, You want to protest? Buy Canadian. You can still do that. It's gonna cost you more, but it would sure as hell make a fucking point. Buy Canadian. Protest your own country. You can do that. That is something that is in your power to do. Don't buy locally. Don't buy from big corporations. Don't go shopping at Walmart. Go find Canadian companies. Go find Canadian product. Go buy that.
I'm just trying to remember. What was that? Customer, that's right. I think in terms of what he wants, I heard he talked about banking again this morning in a tweet, which doesn't make any sense because American banks, there's about 16 American banks currently active in Canada holding about $113 billion worth of assets in this country. So the American banks are alive and well and prospering in Canada. It's an example of not really being able to see what it is that he wants, because even the excuse that he's giving for these tariffs today of fentanyl is completely bogus, completely unjustified, completely false. So we actually have to fold back on the one thing he has said repeatedly, that what he wants is to see a total collapse of the Canadian economy, because that'll make it easier to annex us, is the second half of his thought. Now, first of all, that's never...
There it is. There it fucking is. There's the real fucking opinion. There is the real answer to that fucking question. What the fuck is it that goddamn Donald wants? He wants to fucking annex Canada, and he wants to do it to impress fucking Russia. Because Russia fucking hates us. That is actually what the fuck is going on here. So America, Donald Trump specifically wants to destabilize, threaten, and hurt Canada to benefit Russia and make it easier for Trump to annex Canada. I will play this back. Listen to what this man says. Nail on the head. I have never seen a politician speak so fucking straightforward and clearly about the fucking fact of the matter and what we're actually fucking dealing with. Listen to this.
I think in terms of what he wants, I heard he talked about banking again this morning in a tweet, which doesn't make any sense because American banks, there's about 16 American banks currently active in Canada holding about $113 billion worth of assets in this country. So the American banks are alive and well and prospering in Canada. It's an example of not really being able to see what it is that he wants, because even the excuse that he's giving for these tariffs today of fentanyl is completely bogus, completely unjustified, completely false. So we actually have to fold back on the one thing he has said repeatedly, that what he wants is to see a total collapse of the Canadian economy, because that'll make it easier to annex us, is the second half of his thought. Now, first of all, that's never going to happen. We will.
The second half of his thought wants to destabilize and see the collapse of the Canadian fucking market and Canada's economics and the Canadian people to make it easier to annex us. That's what this is fucking about, because it's the only other thing that fucking Trump has been talking about, exactly like Trudeau said. Oh my fucking god. We fall back onto the main thing that he's been talking about. Annexing fucking Canada. What the actual fuck? So no, I don't want to hear Americans tell me that they're sorry about this. And no, I don't want to hear about their fucking buyer's remorse about this shit. What I want is the American people to fucking do something about it. Whether it's going to a protest, whether it's contacting your local fucking government, whether it's buying fucking Canadian. Buy Canadian. Travel to Canada and spend your fucking money. If you've got a trip to America, fucking cancel it. If you've got a trip to America that you can't cancel, fly to Canada instead. Fly to Canada instead and just hop the border real quick for whatever it is you need to do and spend your money in Canada instead. I don't want to hear about how sorry the Americans are. I don't appreciate the apology. I appreciate action. Fucking do something to get your goddamn government back under control again. Go look at France. You feel powerless because they want you to feel powerless. Fucking do something about it. Good God.
Never be the 51st state. But yeah, he can do damage to the Canadian economy, and he's started this morning. But he is rapidly going to find out, as American families are going to find out, that that's going to hurt people on both sides of the border.
And here's the thing. He's right about this. But on top of that, American families are already suffering. Our government isn't currently trying to fuck us over. Our government is trying to have our backs through this. The American government is fucking over your farmers, fucking over your workers, fucking over your average Americans. And now you're gonna get hit with fucking tariffs on top of that because of your president. This is fucking goddamn double. You're getting hit from both sides. Fucking do something. Why are we doing this? We can't do anything to help you. Help me to help you. Help me to help you. Help me to help you. You have to do the thing. You have to do the thing. We can't do things for you. Good God. This double whammy is fucking yikes. Dude, how are you gonna win a war of attrition when you're getting slapped around by your own government demanding that you do what they tell you to do, and then get hit with the fucking tariff? Again, I'm having a stream tomorrow with Landon that is talking about how to communicate with your local officials. Please, for the love of God, do something!
Americans will lose jobs. Americans will be paying more for groceries, for gas, for cars, for homes, because we have always done best when we work together. So we are, of course, open to starting negotiations on the customer review.
Well, that's some fucking socialist shit there, Justin.
But let us not fool ourselves about what he seems to be wanting. And I will admit, I have been holding out hope.
Thank you. Thank you for just fucking saying what it fucking is. You do not understand how much I appreciate that. Because this is the type of, like, stuff that you hear about from, like, podcasters, people who are commenting on what's going on, not from the politicians themselves. So having a politician stepping forward and just saying exactly what it is and how it needs to be treated, and being like, we're not going to fool ourselves about this. This isn't rhetoric. This is the fact of the matter, and we need to treat it as such. We have to understand that what America and Donald is doing right now is a direct attack on Canada on behalf of Russia and on behalf of America itself. Good fucking God. Yeah, but our one president was old. Okay. Alright. So you voted in somebody equally as old. Alright. Okay.
That these tariffs were just a clever negotiating ploy that would have the impact that they're having now without even bringing them in over the past weeks, as we've seen order books dry up for Canadian companies from American customers, as we've seen expansion plans in Canada put on hold, as we've seen people choosing to invest in the United States over the past weeks because of the threat of tariffs. But now that he's moved forward with tariffs, we're going to see The real impact of a trade war between our two countries.
Yeah, he's basically saying fuck around and find out. That's basically what fucking Trudeau is saying right now. He's like, well, we're not in theory anymore. This isn't theory class. Now we actually get to see how this fucking plays out. And again, America is not in a strong economic position right now. The American people are getting fucked over by their own government. Do you really think that the American people who are going to have to be sacrificed, for some of you may die, but that is a sacrifice I am willing to make. If you think that, like, the American people who are getting roasted by their own government are going to be able to win a war of attrition where they're getting double fucked, like, and they're already not happy, it's gonna get worse. Swear. What are we doing?
That impact will be to hurt American families.
And this depresses me. Now that he's resigned, Trudeau looks more like the leader I want than he has over the past 3 years. Is that partly because of the fucking slander campaign that took place over the last 3 years? Because he's been prime minister longer than 3 years. He hasn't really changed. He's been saying the same shit the whole time. He's made concessions that I don't necessarily agree with. It's almost like he was a good prime minister and always was a good prime minister. Was he perfect? Am I like a fan of Trudeau? No, that's not how our politics work. He's done a good job. He did a good job the whole time, and he will be remembered as a fantastic prime minister. I hope Carney is able to come in and do as good of a job, and hopefully an even better job, but I will not be surprised to see him back. I will not be surprised to see him be prime minister again, just like his father.
Prime Minister Tonda McCharles with the Toronto Star. I hope you can be as specific as possible for a number of these points. Everybody's looking to what actually you're going to do. In your statement last night, you referenced non-tariff measures, and I want to know exactly what you're prepared to contemplate there. And given that your likely successors, both Carney and Poilievre, have said it should be dollar for dollar retaliatory tariffs, that's on $600 billion worth of American imports, if you were to do that.
Yeah, remember when I said earlier that the tariffs are targeted? That's what I'm talking about. He's not doing every single thing, but both Carney and Poilievre, because Poilievre right now is copying everything Carney says because Carney is correct. Carney is making the suggestion, which would jump it to $600 billion.
Is that on or off the table?
I will be sitting down, as I have every week for the past many, many weeks, with the premiers this afternoon to talk about our...
So the premiers are the people who are in charge of the provinces. So, like, for instance, Doug Ford is the premier of Ontario.
Individual, combined, and collective response to this. As we've put on the table, the federal government has $155 billion worth of tariffs that we can move forward with immediately, and that we will be moving forward with both now and 21 days from now to give Canadian companies time to adjust their supply chains to not be...
So that's one of the things that's really good about this is Canada is giving its own country time to make adjustments, and it's a rollout over 21 days to get to 155 billion. If we were to go tariff to tariff, it would be $600 billion, and that's assuming we don't just like ban traveling to America. And quite frankly, with the way the medical direction that RFK Jr. is taking America's vaccines and medical safety and throwing it in the fucking tank of garbage, I honestly think that it would be a good idea for Canada and for other countries to put COVID restrictions back for explicitly Americans. Like, you not only need to have these vaccines to be allowed to travel here, but not only do you have to have your vaccines, but you also have to quarantine and just make that part of your travel plans. And just because I don't fucking want the measles in my fucking country. Correct me if I'm wrong, but your favorite premier is Danielle Smith. She is very hilarious. She is a joke. I also do not believe that she's been a part of these discussions because if I'm not mistaken, she is not currently in Canada right now and has not been for a while. A travel ban might be reasonable. Yeah. Don't make a sad face like you're coming up here. Although you should come visit in the summer. That would be lovely. Jack for 10 said, I'd like to point out, although this is the Canadian president, this is the type of president American movie franchises always have, but never actually have in reality. Well, he is not a president. He is a prime minister, but I get your point, and also very, very funny. Yes. Good news, there's a case of rubella in Texas. Oh, fucking great. Yeah, maybe not just tit for tat, not equal but greater. I think that's the point. The point is that we don't need to target everything because we don't want to harm ourselves more than we have to. So going tit for tat is not necessarily, I think it's a good talking point for a politician coming into office. I don't think it's necessarily a good thing to actually go all the way on. I think the targeted ones are better, especially to start off with. Start strong and hard and then just add to it as we go. I do not think that this is the end of the tariffs if we were to roll them out over the next 21 days. I don't think we're limited to these tariffs. These are just the ones we're starting with.
Overly impacted by this. But there are many other things that have been surfaced by different premiers in different approaches that we can look at. One, for example, is around purchasing and around suppliers and around contracts, whether it's municipal, provincial, or federal, with American companies. There are many different things that we've been looking at, and that conversation.
That's what I was talking about earlier.
With the premiers this afternoon is going to be very, very important. But I can tell you what we have seen is Canadians across provinces and territories, across political lines, are united in knowing that this is a time to hit back hard and to demonstrate that a fight with Canada will have no winners. And the sooner we can get past this fight, back to working together to take on the world, as our two countries always have, the better we'll all be.
To what extent have you turned or gotten cooperation from any other allies to exact more pain on the U.S. to accelerate getting to a solution? And are you concerned that Mexico appears to be trying to do their own thing maybe next Sunday?
Sar asked an actual question and not a joke. How much worse would you think things need to be for Americans to be reasonably considered refugees if they were to apply for that status? They would have to be being persecuted and targeted by their government specifically as individuals. So as much as there is already right now a target on the back of the majority of LGBTQ plus people, those people would likely be the first refugees that would be allowed into Canada as Americans applying for refugee status. I don't think it's there yet, because there hasn't been any calls for their deaths. Not directly. Obviously, LGBTQ lives are being threatened, and as a result, people will die, and LGBTQ plus people will die. But the government itself is not saying LGBTQ people need to be wiped from the face of the earth or something. Once that goes into place, that would definitely enable a refugee status. Immigrants are being hunted by ICE at the moment, yes, but you might be able to get some people that are fleeing ICE might be able to get refugee status in Canada, perhaps. The other sorry, there's just a few things. Let me just catch up. The other thing that matters that I'm not sure what's going to happen with is right now there's free travel between Canada and America, and you're allowed to just stay for 6 months as a Canadian citizen or as an American citizen in one or the other, like no questions asked. That's likely going to go away. So if you are an American trying to run away, you might want to do that before that time limit is up and just take 6 months if you can. That might be worthwhile. See, although it would be very funny to see a flood of Americans just take advantage of that 6-month period, and just hide out in Canada for 6 months. I mean, that would be certainly doing something. That would definitely send a message. I don't know what that would look like, but good God, it would be very funny. Let's smuggle Chesh into America. Why? What? No, please don't. What did I do to you? If I were to visit you, I'd want to move in next door. Yeah, sure. Country with 40 million mouths to feed. Yeah. Speedrunning the axis of evil. Yeah. Accelerationist international politics. Jesus fucking Christ, this isn't good. Yeah. I just hope that Canada doesn't do something fucking really stupid, like pre-approve a bunch of fucking pipelines or something. Like, that would, like, don't actually go through with that. Please, that's very fucking dumb. Please, like, as much as Canada needs to move quickly, we still need to be smart about it. So don't fuck this up. It is an interesting question, yeah.
Are you with any guarantees you've got allies?
I've just spent quite a bit of time over these past couple of weeks meeting with European and international allies to talk about a number of different things, including standing up for the rules-based order by defending Ukraine, but also being there for each other in a more challenging and uncertain world.
So I would like to point out, so for people who are saying that Canada should join the EU, I don't think that's off the table in totality, but be aware that Trudeau was recently visiting both the King and the Prime Minister of the UK just yesterday, as well as he's been in talks with Mexico. So I think there's just going to be a lot of everybody. America is getting isolated. That's what's happening. By its own design. America wants to be isolated. America first. We want American everything. That's what you voted for, and now you're getting it. But the problem is what you actually wanted was everybody to capitulate to you and give you everything else. And the problem is like, so for example, there are Norwegian tankers are refusing to fuel American ships out in the ocean. So America is getting isolated, which is exactly what you voted for. But that's not actually what you wanted. The thing is what this comes down to is the American people voted to not have to pull their own weight on the global stage. Because America thinks that they did more than everybody else. And everyone else is going to fall apart without them. And that's not what's going to happen. And here's the thing. You weigh more. The reason why America has to pull more weight is because you weigh more. It's called equity. You have more people than Canada has. Therefore, you have a greater responsibility to a larger number of people. Duh? Hello? That's not how it works. You are told that it was unfair, that other people weren't pulling their weight, because everybody should pull the same amount of weight as America. Like, that's just not reasonable. That doesn't make any sense. And here's the thing. If it really was the case that you were just fine on your own, why are you bitching? You got what you wanted, and all you're doing is fucking complaining. And all you're doing is lashing out and trying to punish everybody else. Game, set, and match, motherfuckers. Now it's just a matter of watching the game play out the rest of the way. You don't have the cards, Zelensky. No, you. Because guess what happened as soon as that fucking travesty of a fucking meeting happened? The rest of the world went and hung out with Zelensky without America. Surprise fucking surprise. And what's gonna happen? Canada's gonna make deals with everybody else. Yeah, there's a lot to talk about. I almost want to do an extra tavern, but I almost don't want to. It's there. Oh, God. I hear ya. I hear ya. The next one is on the 29th. So I'm probably going to do a speed run at some point and just do like, hi, this is for the tavern, but welcome to Debate Pub. I'm going to quickly go through a bunch of shit that happened. Jeez, this is America this month and just read through the fucking shit America's done for the whole month.
And I can tell you that every country is very, very aware that if the American government is willing to do this to their own closest ally, neighbor, and friend, everyone is vulnerable to a trade war. And our ability to work together thoughtfully and strategically to make sure we're supporting our citizens, we're doing things together in a more diversified way is something that is on the mind of all of our allies.
En français, vous en êtes où dans les discussions avec les alliés, que ce soit européens ou mexicains?
Comme vous savez, au cours des dernières semaines, j'ai eu...
Yeah, and I agree with that. I think that is absolutely the fucking case.
Et nos amis européens et à l'international, tout le monde est inquiet. Ils savent très bien que si les Américains sont prêts à faire ça...
Well, here's the thing. Why buy from America when you could buy from Canada? If America's going to tax everybody else and tariff everybody else, why wouldn't you want to rely on somebody like Canada, who has a fantastic track record, who has an amazing history of being one of the best neighbors and friends you could ever have and best trade partners you could ever fucking have? Ever. You want to know what the last war we were in? That we put ourselves in? It was with Denmark, our other neighbor. And it was over a piece of land, a rock that's like a kilometer fucking big. That was for science. It was used for observational science stuff. And the war was, we put on a Canadian flag, drink the alcohol that the Danes left for us, leave alcohol for them, leave. They show up, take our flag down, put their flag up, drink the alcohol we left for them, leave their own alcohol. That was it. We ended that war on principle when Ukraine happened, when Russia invaded Ukraine. That war was going on, it was one of the longest running territorial wars in history. Like, why wouldn't everybody just want to get better products at a better price from a more reliable ally? Canada has a massive fucking opportunity here to become one of the next major players in, as if we weren't already a pretty large player. We have an opportunity here, and I think we should fucking take it.
Ça au Canada, leur allié le plus proche, leur partenaire le plus interconnecté, tout le monde est à risque. Et notre capacité, donc, de travailler ensemble, d'en faire plus ensemble, de diversifier nos chaînes d'approvisionnement de façon encore plus délibérée, est une conversation qu'on est en train d'avoir et on va continuer d'avoir avec nos alliés. Avec nos partenaires mexicains, on continue à être en contact étroit avec eux et on va continuer de regarder comment on peut faire des choses ensemble, comme j'ai dit, pour ne pas souffrir plus que nécessaire avec ces actions américaines.
Thanks. Hi, Prime Minister. Rachel Haynes from CTV National News. As we know, the Liberal Party is going to be picking a new leader over the weekend. But when is it going to be your last official day as Prime Minister?
That will be up to a conversation between the new leader and myself to figure out how long a transition is needed. It should happen reasonably quickly, but there's a lot of things to do in a transition like this, particularly at this complicated time in the world.
That's a really good point, and I'm glad that's the answer. I'm glad there's not a set date for that, and I'm glad this is going to be transitional because it's gonna be difficult for Donald to deal with. Like, Donald is used to dealing with Trudeau, and Trudeau is used to dealing with Donald. So whoever the next Liberal leader is, having access to Trudeau about how to handle Donald in like a personal sense, not in a global sense, not in an economic sense, but in like a how do you have a conversation with this man, is going to be a valuable, very valuable resource.
Ma dernière journée sera déterminée une fois que le nouveau chef du Parti libéral sera choisi. C'est une conversation sur combien de temps vont être nécessaires pour la transition. Il y a énormément d'éléments à considérer, mais je sais qu'on veut faire ça assez rapidement.
Thanks. So it sounds like it won't be immediately on March 9th or March 10th. So it sounds like you'll probably still have some time remaining to put in some more actions on this. Is one of those things that you're considering going to be taxing oil, gas, and potash exports, even if premiers don't consent to that?
As I said, the most important thing we're facing, as I've said, the most important thing we can do is ensure that Canadians remain united. That's why whatever response, individually or collectively, we do across the country, we have to make sure that no single part of the country is carrying a greater burden or suffering any more than everyone else.
That was maybe I'm misreading this, but that was a call out about Danielle Smith, who is the only premier, as far as I know, the premier of Alberta, who has not been on the same page as every other premier. There is one bitch of a holdout. This person is a climate change denier. This is a woman who was claiming that America was fucking dropping chemicals, like what was it? Chemtrails on fucking Alberta. This is a woman who has bankrupt her whole ass fucking goddamn province. This lady is a fucking piece of work. She let she let a whole city burn to the fucking ground. She's bankrupt an entire municipality. Alberta had almost no debt. And in 4 years, the Conservative Party in Alberta has just butt-fucked the economy of that province. Just absolutely butt-fucked it and blamed the federal government the entire fucking way. And the people of Alberta need to fucking wake up. Jesus Christ. Unfucking believable. It's infuriating. But yeah, I think that was a call out too. Well, what if the premiers don't agree to it? Fuck the premiers. You want the one premier's gonna sell out their fucking province to goddamn fucking Donald Trump? I don't fucking think so.
This is going to be tough for all of us, but we need to be pulling and holding Canadians together every step of the way. And that's the conversation I'm going to be having with the premiers this afternoon.
That's actually a really good his answer is a lot better than mine.
Our now weekly meetings. There will be many different ideas we discuss, but
I thought that maybe Danielle has changed her tune. She's not even in, I do not think, maybe I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure she's still in America. She traveled through Mar-a-Lago and hasn't come back. She's been gone for like 2 months. Or like a month and a week. Or like almost a month. I don't think she's in Canada right now. I don't think she's been in Canada for the last little while.
The most important thing, more important than doing specific or
maybe she's back, but she has not been attending and complying in these meetings.
Effective pressure points on the United States is keeping Canadians united together. As we go through the pain that these American tariffs will inflict on our economy, on our workplaces, on Canadian families, we will be able to say this is happening to us by the decisions of a different government. As American families suffer,
literally the whole theory is common enemy,
for the impact of these tariffs, of this trade war with Canada, they will be saying this is happening because our own government is choosing to do it to us. That's a very different proposition. And the most important thing right now, more important than anything else, is for Canadians to remain united. And that's why all premiers will be focused on things that make sure Canadians don't get divided amongst ourselves.
Yeah, I really do hope that we take the opportunity to open up the provincial borders. Yeah, so there's like there's no provincial border as in like you have to go through like a border check when you travel from one to the other. Oh no, I'm stuck. But like goods traveling through and like one province selling to another is like a taxation fucking nightmare. And so I've seen them talking about this for a little while now. Since the tariffs were coming back, I've seen this conversation open up more, and I'm really glad to see it, and it does seem like something that is moving forward and will continue to improve. So if you want good wine and good beer, yippee! We get to have less shitty American booze and more fantastic Canadian alcohol from across the country. Huzzah! This is one of the best things that could come out of this.
This is a time for us to pull together because the Americans will be having very real and very challenging debates and discussions about these actions. There will be no debate in Canada about whether or not we should be pulling together and responding. Everyone is aligned on that.
And that's fantastic. Like I was saying, the American people are already getting burned. They're already having buyer's remorse. They're already complaining about the pricing of things, and they're already getting screwed. They're already losing their jobs. They're already losing their medical care. They're already losing their pensions and things that they've paid into. Jobs, everything. They're losing everything. And so they're not going to be able to deal with and handle tariffs coming from Canada. On top of that, they're already unhappy. It's just gonna get worse. And the problem is I think there's a two-pronged problem. One is your government doesn't fucking care about you, and you have to make them care. The American government does not care and is not listening to you, and you have to make them. And only you can do that.
Protecting that is job one for the Canadian government and the Canadian Prime Minister.
Hi, Mr. Trudeau.
OK. Évidemment, il y a différentes choses que différentes provinces ou secteurs peuvent faire pour appliquer de la pression sur les États-Unis. Et il y a plusieurs idées qui ont été mises sur la table, mais je veux être extrêmement clair que ce ne sera pas le fait qu'il y a une région ou une industrie au Canada qui souffrira ou qui portera un plus large fardeau que d'autres. On doit être équitable dans notre réponse et dans nos appuis. Parce que la chose la plus importante dans toute cette affaire, c'est que les Canadiens restent unis. Et c'est de ça.
Hi, Dr. Kip, welcome.
Que je vais parler avec les premiers ministres des provinces et territoires cet après-midi, que l'unité de mission et de courage et de détermination dont les Canadiens vont faire preuve dans les jours et semaines à venir va être notre arme la plus effective. Parce que les familles canadiennes qui vont faire face à des impacts négatifs à cause de ces tarifs vont être en train de dire « mais nous, on va se tenir ensemble en tant que Canadiens parce que c'est un autre pays qui nous est en train de faire cela. Et nous, on va tenir bon, puis on va réussir à passer à travers. » Les familles américaines qui vont voir des pertes d'emplois, qui vont voir des augmentations de prix à cause de ces tarifs, eux, ils vont devoir se dire « c'est à cause de notre propre gouvernement qu'on est en train de souffrir maintenant. » Et ça va amener des conversations extrêmement difficiles entre Américains sur le pourquoi de cette guerre commerciale injustifiée.
We will take one last question and follow
I
up.
think that's I think that it's important to recognize the disparagement between the division that is currently existing in America that is slowly turning into a united front against President Donald, felon Donald, sex pest Donald, and the comparatively to the united front that already exists in Canada against the same individual. The people in America who voted for Donald have been hit really hard. And yeah, no, America can keep Jordan Peterson. Stop picking up our trash. America needs to stop going through Canada's trash. Like they don't succeed in Canada for a reason. Please consider that next time you decide to adopt a Canadian reject. All right, please, please. So if you guys want to know a little bit, I'm seeing a couple of questions about Justin Trudeau. So let me pull up his Wikipedia real quick. So he was born in Ottawa, and if I'm not mistaken, on the French side. He is basically grown up bilingual as fuck. So he is very much, as you can see, like just right here, born in Ottawa, eldest son of Prime Minister Pierre Trudeau, attended a French language school, went to McGill for an English degree, went to and got a degree from British Columbia, so he has spent a lot of time in Vancouver. He went to Montreal to teach, so he's very much both. But alas, some context.
Follow up. Thank you.
Hi, Mr. Trudeau. Mackenzie Gray with Global. You mentioned the markets earlier. Someone who knows a thing about them, Warren Buffett, came out and said that these tariffs could be viewed as an act of war. Does the Canadian government believe these tariffs from Donald Trump is an act of war from the U.S.?
Canadians.
That was a good pause. That is a good question, and I'm gonna play it again because this is a very good question.
And follow up. Thank you.
Hi, Mr. Trudeau. Mackenzie Gray with Global. You mentioned the markets earlier. Someone who knows a thing about them, Warren Buffett, came out and said that these tariffs could be viewed as an act of war. Does the Canadian government believe these tariffs from Donald Trump is an act of war from the U.S.?
Canadians are not angry at the American people for this. We don't have anything against Americans. Americans are our neighbors, our friends, our partners. We do things together. We've done things together for decades and generations. This is a policy decision by the American government designed to go after the Canadian economy. This is a trade war, yes. But Canadians are hurt. Canadians are angry. We're going to choose to not go on vacation in Florida or Old Orchard Beach or wherever. We're going to choose to try to buy Canadian products and forego bourbon and other classic American products. And yeah, we're probably going to keep booing the American anthem. But
You're gonna switch from bourbon to moonshine?
let me tell Americans, we're not booing you. We're not booing your teams. We're not booing your players. We're booing a policy that is designed to hurt us.
So this is where I think that his answer is better than mine would be. I don't think Canadians view most American individuals, American citizens, as an enemy, and I think that actually falls in line very much with the way Canadians have always behaved during war. Canadians during war are usually very well behaved and very polite to civilians. Specifically, civilians. And are notoriously brutal and cruel to enemies. I think what is happening right now is Canadians are withholding judgment. I think that Canadians recognize that a lot of Americans are hurt, that a lot of Canadians are confused, and a lot of Canadians are fucking pissed. And I think the patience for the American people is on short supply. I would not be surprised if hockey continues. I will not be surprised that if there are Canadian players on American teams that are coming to Canada to play in Canada, that they're going to get eggs thrown at them. I will not be surprised if, for example, in Montreal, I will not be surprised if you see if there is a bus of hockey players that have come to Canada, that have come from America to play hockey, that their bus gets fucking flipped, whether or not they're in it. I would not be surprised to see that. And I think Kip has a good point. Speak for yourself. I'm booing your teams and your players. Canadians are pissed. The focus is on the American government, but we also, I think, if hockey continues. Yeah, when I say if hockey continues, I mean if the NHL continues to exist as we know it. If you remember last time there were tariffs, there were some hiccups. In 2016, there were some hiccups with the NHL. There were protests and stuff not too long ago. What year was that, actually? There was a couple of years ago, and we were all watching women's hockey, and it was great. So, I mean, I will not be surprised to find out, like, if this continues and if this escalates, to see that there are issues with what gets broadcasted by who and when. The hockey can easily be affected by this. Bricks instead of eggs. Eggs, I mean, there's like a classic example of I think it was Montreal, and they threw a squid on the ice. Like, do not be surprised to see hockey is one of the ways that Canadians express themselves and how they feel about it. So if you want to get a vibe check on how Canada feels about something and how the Canadian people feel about something, go to a hockey game. See how they feel. So I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised if there is hiccups, if there are problems, if there are adjustments that end up being needed to be made through the NHL. I don't know. There's probably going to need to be security detail. That's for sure. But I think that Trudeau's answer is a good answer for a leader to be giving, but I don't think most like commentators are gonna have that. I think like if you asked an a Canadian person on the street that knows what's going on, they would respond with, "Fuck those guys! What the hell?" Yeah, there was also COVID and the collective bargaining. Yeah. Yeah, there's a whole fucking thing. Yeah, there was a strike. I will not be surprised to find out if Canadian players refuse to play for American teams. Like I said, it's not like hockey's gonna go away, but it will be affected. It already has been affected, right? For example, so like the Four Nations tournament that just happened was greatly affected because Donald Trump decided to shove fucking politics into it, like, and guess what happened? So do not be surprised to see the effect of these policies and these politics and this tension make its way onto the ice. We'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. Hopefully this will go away real fast, but alas, we shall see.
And we're insulted. And we're angry. But we're Canadian, which means we're going to stand up for each other. We're going to fight. And we're going to win.
There are probably a lot of folks watching on TV today who've been laid off or they were told not to come into work today because of these tariffs. Can you explain to them why you've not announced any relief measures today to help those folks out?
As I've said, our entire focus has been on preventing these tariffs from coming in, if there was at all a way, and it now looks like there was never a way we were going to be able to avoid these tariffs that the President was determined to do. And our focus now is going to be on making sure that they get lifted and that there is an end to this trade war as quickly as possible. But over the past month, we have been working on measures that if these tariffs last longer than a few hours or a few days, we be able to help America.
That's such a fucking thing, too. Whether or not these tariffs get turned off in 20 minutes or not, who the fuck knows?
Canadian citizens, Canadian workers, Canadian companies make it through this time. But let's also be clear. This is going to be tough. The American trade war is going to hurt the Canadian economy and is going to hurt all of us. What our government needs to make sure we're doing is try to make sure that nobody goes hungry and that everyone carries their share of this. And that's a hard thing to do. But that's where we're leaning in, both as a federal government and with provinces and territories on responses to be there for Canadians.
Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister.
Merci.
That concludes today's press conference.
So that was the press conference. If anybody wants to watch it for their own, here's a link to it. I'm sure there will be more to come in the future. I do want to show you this one really, really quick, just because it illustrates the numbers of what this looks like financially around the world. So just really quick.
Hey, everybody. Last night, Donald Trump's tariffs on Canada. Happy Trade War Day, everybody. Last night, Donald Trump's tariffs on Canada and China and Mexico went into effect. And today, they're retaliating. China and Canada have already announced what they're doing. President of Mexico says her announcement will come later today. And even before the President of Mexico announces what it is, this is what's happened as a result.
Live updates, market falls after new Trump tariff prompt retaliation. China and Canada immediately announced retaliatory tariffs, and Mexico said it would announce its own measures on Sunday. The response escalated a trade war that has rattled the globe. That's going from at the top here, nearly 6,000, all the way down to 5,750 and below in a matter of hours.
Is making America great for y'all yet? But what might their retaliatory tariffs actually affect? Fresh produce, cars and car parts, and electronics, including phones and computers, are among the top goods the U.S. imports from Mexico, Canada, and China that will now face tariffs between 20 and 25%. If it costs more to bring the item here, guess who's going to pay for that?
Also says the stock of global car makers that have plants in Mexico fell sharply on Tuesday morning. Germany's Volkswagen dropped almost 4% by 5:46 a.m. And Chrysler and Jeep fell nearly 7%.
Not Canada, not China, not Mexico, you, the American consumer. Canada's our ally, our closest ally to the north. And these tariffs literally violate the trade agreement we have with Canada that was set up by Donald Trump during his last administration. He is violating his own trade agreement with Canada.
What the fuck? Why? Why are we doing this? And I think that is one of the major questions that all Canadians are asking. Why are we doing this?
And it's not just the stuff coming from Canada that's going to be tariffed and then we're going to pay more. It's also going to affect American companies who ship stuff to Canada, as you can hear from Doug Ford, the Premier of Ontario.
I've directed the LCBO, we're the largest purchaser of alcohol in the world, to remove every bit of U.S. alcohol off the shelves. I know my good friend, the governor...
That's something we were already doing, but I think he's now mandating it in LCBO in Ontario, so I don't know how much of a difference that actually makes, or if that was something that was already happening, but I'm not 100% sure. But at least it's mandated now.
Of Kentucky, he's losing his mind right now. I said, you better talk to your president. Mitch McConnell, senior senator from Kentucky, they're losing their mind. We purchased over $1 billion of alcohol, 3,600 products, 35 states. It's going to hit them. Then we're going to cancel Starlinks right away from Elon Musk. Not that $100 million makes a difference for them, but it's principle. If they want to try to...
Well, it's principle and power. There's a lot of reasons why that Starlink deal should not go through. I do not like that he said the words, "we're going to," and instantly. So, is it done yet? I don't know. This was this morning, so we'll see. This one was posted on the one that we're showing now is from March 3rd, so we'll see.
To annihilate Ontario, I will do everything.
Oh, is it now canceled? Good. Good. I don't like the word "going to." I want it done fucking yesterday. Get that shit out of here. Fuck Elon Musk.
Including cut off their energy, with a smile on my face. And I'm encouraging every other province to do the same. Quebec, senator from Kentucky, they're losing their mind. We purchased over $1 billion of alcohol, 3,600 products, 35 states. It's going to hit them. Then we're going to cancel Starlinks right away from Elon Musk. Not that $100 million makes a difference for them, but it's principle. If they want to try to annihilate Ontario, I will do everything, including cut off their energy, with a smile on my face. And I'm encouraging every other province to do the same. Quebec, Manitoba, BC, we all have to act in unison. Out east, they rely on our energy. They need to...
Quebec, Manitoba, BC. There's one very western province he didn't list in that between Manitoba and BC. Alberta. Motherfucker didn't list Alberta. Gee, I wonder why. I wonder why Alberta was not in the list.
To feel the pain.
We need to feel the pain at the grocery store, at the gas pump, on car lots when we're trying to get...
You'll notice that Doug Ford is also a lot more aggressive towards the American people than Trudeau is. Trudeau is a lot more empathetic. Doug Ford is kind of a fuckhead and he's kind of an asshole, so he's going to sound like he doesn't give a shit because he doesn't give a shit. He doesn't care about the people in Ontario. He's not going to give a shit about the people in America.
New computers or phones. And don't forget why we're doing these tariffs. The Trump administration said the tariffs were necessary to stem the flow of fentanyl into the United States. What the actual fuck? While President Trump gave both Canada and Mexico ample opportunity to curb the dangerous cartel activity and influx of lethal drugs flowing into our country, they have failed to adequately address the situation, according to a statement released by the White House shortly before the tariffs took effect.
Yeah, a bullshit pretend legal reason that makes no sense, has no backing. I'm wondering if the American people can bring that to court and challenge that. I don't know if that's a thing that you can do. I'm Canadian, not American. You guys tell me. And on top of that, the fentanyl isn't going from Canada to America. It's going from America to Canada. You're our Mexico.
Cool. You're going to pay a shit ton for produce and gas. And this is not the solution to fentanyl. Fentanyl's a problem. Don't get me wrong. This ain't doing shit. For everyone who voted for Donald Trump because you said...
It's not doing shit for America. It seems to be helping Canada, but not America. And look at these drops. That is 42... This is dropping, yeah, from 40, it's dropped down to 42,500. This is from a high of about 45, and it's just dropped. There's another, there's a closer look where it's dropped all the way down to, yeah, 42.5. Just all the way down. Just all the way fucking down.
The price of things are just too expensive. We need to get our economy back on track. Look what thou hath wrought. But honestly, should we even be surprised? As Brian Tyler Cohen put in a post this morning, it's almost as if the economy is being run by a guy who bankrupted 4 casinos. You know those businesses that basically just print money because they're preying on people who have a crippling addiction? This guy has no idea what a gallon of milk costs, and he was amazed by the concept of grocery stores. And you thought he was going to be the one to make all that better for you. Are you pissed off yet? You should be. Would you like to do something about it? Here's something that you could do. You could go to the link in my bio. You see this one? Reject Trump's tariffs that raise prices and hurt working families. If you click that, it opens this petition that when you sign it, is then put in front of elected officials. Democrats, Republicans, everybody. Thousands and thousands and thousands of signatures from their constituents being put in front of them saying, like, the American people are super pissed off about this. Matters. It matters to them. Change.org petition that no one's ever going to see doesn't matter. One that's going to be actively put in front of them and say, hey, this is how you get not reelected, matters to them. Take like 30 seconds to sign this, please. Encourage others to sign it. Let's show them that we will not accept this.
And I'll give you guys the link to take a look. Do something. Good God. I don't know how effective a lot of things... Yeah, update. The organization behind the petition literally just suffered a massive cyber attack. Let me show this to you. That appears to be Russian in origin because they also have a petition that is getting a ton of traction about how many Americans support Ukraine. I wish this was a joke. They are working on it and I will let you know when it gets back up. So I will provide you with the link, but it might not be working right now. Holy shit. But it looks like you guys want me to get a panel together. So I will work on getting a panel together once I finish wrapping here. But let me make sure this link goes into your guys's... Here is the petition. I don't know if it's totally functional right now. It currently says there are 1,504 signatures out of the 5,000 goal, but there's the link for you if you are looking for it and if you want it. And if you want to do something, again, join us tomorrow on Debate Hub where me and Landon are going to be discussing how to talk to your congresspeople in a way that they will understand. And I recommend buying pen, paper, and stamps. Like, and envelopes. Like, actually send physical letters. Treat them like they're the Dursley house trying to send Harry Potter to Hogwarts, alright? That's basically what's going to fucking have to happen. And I think you're probably going to have to protest lawfully outside of these people's houses. Like, actually. That might be the only way to fucking do any of this shit. But, alas, good luck. Stay safe out there. Feel free to check out my other videos about boycotting America if you want to know how you can help yourself protest. Because here, at the end of the day, you don't have to buy Canadian. If you're in America and you can't afford to buy Canadian, you can still likely afford to not buy American. So it might be in your best interest to just know which ones are Canadian, which ones are American, and which ones are not American, because that was mostly the focus. So buy not American products. Protest your own country. Go for it. Nothing's stopping you. And also, I recommend reading a history book about France. I would recommend that. There are no laws in America, only guns and the people wielding them. Well, stay safe out there, everybody. Have a good day. Good luck. Happy Tariff Day, everyone. This has been a Canadian answering questions and talking about what our Prime Minister does and doesn't do. I'll be live over on Debate Hub, so if you're really looking for me, go find me there. I'm not sure when I'll be back on this channel on any kind of regular basis, and if I do have a panel of Canadians, it will be over on Debate Hub. So thank you so much for joining me. I'm gonna get out of here. Subscribe over there, and please check out tomorrow, because that one's gonna be a big deal. So I think that one's gonna be very important to you guys. So thank you so much. and I will see you next time. Bye!